Good evening, everyone. We come to you from the Surrey countryside today to present an award to an inspirational chef. He's given us some of his valuable time today for us to present this award to him. Some may say that he's one of the greatest chefs in America. For me personally, he's one of the greatest chefs in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Keller.
Chef, thank you so much for joining us today and sparing some of your time whilst you're here in the UK. I believe you've been catching up with some friends and maybe had a chance to get in the odd round of golf or two.
Well, it's an odd round of golf, but it's raining and cold and windy. That's pretty odd for me, but nonetheless, we've been playing some golf. But it's just great being here and seeing my colleagues. With Gordon Ramsay, with Claire Smith, these past couple of days. Mitch Mitchell, who's one of my partners, and just getting re-immersed in the culture here in the UK, learning a little Cockney too.
So, Chef, part of your what you're passionate about at the moment is about bringing future chefs into the industry. How do yourself and your restaurants embrace that?
Well, we've been doing this for a long time. We started a foundation over a decade ago called Mentor for the purpose of mentoring young chefs. But I think that when we think about what we do in our profession, it's all about mentorship. Those who mentored us, and mentorship has evolved over the years, as you know. Back in the day, that was a little more difficult with our mentors, mentees. Nonetheless, what we learned, they gave us, and whether it was through books or through personal experiences, with working with them or not, that mentorship was critical in the success of so many chefs around the world. And so mentorship is a critical part of what we do, is to teach and train and offer guidance to our young team members, not just in the kitchen, mind you, in the dining room as well, and the wine team. We think about our restaurants in a holistic way. And yes, I'm a chef, but I am also a restaurateur and businessman, if you will. And we need to make sure that we are touching on every level of the experience for the guest, right? Reassuring ourselves that we're able to do that in a way that's going to help, right, the restaurant and the people that are working with the restaurant. So, mentorship is a great thing. And I always say that there are three things that we do. There are several things we do, but I just want to point out three things that are critical in this process. Hiring somebody, right? When I was a young cook, you were hired because they needed you. Right? You'd walk in the back door and they'd say, "Oh, I need a poissonnier, come to work for me." And you would not get the proper training, right? So hiring the right person is critical. And hiring that person requires you to, commit to them and have them come into your restaurant so they can see the environment, the work ethic, the expectations, right? Because it's as important for you to want to work for me as me want you to work for me, right? You need to be able to ask yourself, can I work in this restaurant? And so that hiring process is very, very important. So if you hire the right person, you're committed to that person 100%, then training starts, right? And you're committed 100% to train this person to be successful in your restaurant. You're not saying, well, maybe he'll be successful, maybe he won't, right? It's not up to him. It's up to us to make him successful, him or her successful. And so that may take months, really, when you think about it. I mean, I was expected to learn how to be the poissonnier in a restaurant in 2 weeks. It's kind of a little bit unfair, don't you think? Or the expectation maybe a little too high. So training somebody is critical, and that may take a long time. What's important for me is the person's attitude, right? If they continue to have an extremely positive attitude about what they're trying to achieve, that's all I need. If they feel defeated or if they feel a point in their time that they can't do it, well, then that's the time that's not going to work. But as long as they feel they can do it, chef, I'm going to get this. I promise you I'm going to get this. Then you're committed to that person. And then, of course, mentorship. Yeah. The mentorship process in their career, as well as sometimes in their private life, right? So mentoring them in that process. If you do those three things correctly, if you hire the right person, train the right person, and mentor them, what happens? What happens is that person becomes better than you. Because if they're not better than you, you've not done a good job.
Yeah. I mean, it's fantastic to hear you selling things, and
yeah.
fundamentally, that's what the Craft Guild is based on,
Yeah.
and that's what we all work towards. So it's fantastic to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chef.
Yeah.
And you've clearly been a huge influence to many chefs globally, and especially here in the UK. Who were your influencers, and did you have a mentor in the early stages of your career?
Good question. And I like the word. I like to use the word influencer as opposed to inspiration, because I think we are influenced, daily, and we're inspired rarely.
Yeah.
And I think we get that. Some of our young team gets that confused. Like, inspiration. And they're looking for inspiration. Well, inspiration is not something that you can find. Inspiration happens, right? Influence is something that we feel every day, and influencing people is critical in this process. So your question has to do with who influenced me, and or who mentored me. So I think I can safely say that 99% of us, our first mentor was our mother, right? I mean, this is very important to realize that your first mentor is your mother. She gave you or for me anyway, this idea of paying attention, right? Not the attention to the world around me, right? The attention to detail, right? So this broad range of being able to pay attention. My work ethic, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. You'll figure it out. You can do this, right? You're smart enough, right? You can educate yourself if you need to. Don't ever give up, right? So this idea of perseverance, right? This idea of work ethic, and then of course the opportunity, right? Opportunities are critical, right? We're faced with so many different opportunities. But when you're a young person, your mother, or your father, right, or your parents together are identifying those opportunities they want you to have, right? You're not really becoming an opportunist at that young age because they're telling you what you're going to do. And putting me in front of a dishwasher at a young age was critical, right, in my life, my career, in my life. Not realizing that at the moment I'm standing in front of a dishwasher. So my mother was, certainly the most important influencer or mentor that I had. My brother Joseph was my second one. My brother Joseph always wanted to be a cook. From a very young age, I remember, like, why does this guy want to be a cook? I don't know, right? Whatever. And I didn't really understand the excitement about cooking when he was doing it, when he started learning. But when I became the head cook at the restaurant my mother ran, which is a private club in Palm Beach, he helped me. He taught me how to make hollandaise sauce. He taught me how to roast a prime rib. He taught me how to make an omelet. He taught me how to make poached eggs. I mean, all of the basic elements of cooking. My brother was there to help me, and that was significant, right? Because he was there. He was my brother, right? My mother, asked him to do it. He was grateful and accepted the responsibility of helping me understand what I needed to do every day. So those were my first two. My third was Roland Hennon. And Roland Hennon I met in July 1977. And I was the staff cook for a private beach club in Narragansett, Rhode Island. Right? I'm on the beach somewhere, and this is just a summertime gig. And I'm cooking for the staff. I'm not even cooking for the guests, right? I'm making lunch and dinner for not just the cooks, not just the dining room team, but the tennis pro, right? The beach guy, the lifeguards, right? The maids, everything. And he came to me one day and said, "You're doing a really, really good job, and I really appreciate it." I said, "Thank you, chef." And he said, "I want to ask you a question." I said, "What's the question?" He said, "Why do cooks cook? Why do cooks cook?" I'm like 20, just barely 21 years of age. I'm going, "Chef, I can't really come up with a clever answer why cooks cook." He said, "We cook to nurture people. We cook to nurture people." Immediately, I realized I was a nurturer. Up until that point, I could cook, I could multitask. I enjoyed the process, but I never, ever, ever considered it as a career path for me until that day in July 1977 when he enlightened me of why we cook. We cook to nurture people. That was it. He was a French chef. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be like Roland Hennon. And so those three individuals, in that short period of time, right, that beginning of my life, that time I'm born until I'm 21, I had three significant individuals that have helped me become who I am.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
So, Chef, we're just about to present your award shortly. We've only presented this award once before to the great Alan Ducasse, International Chef Award. We spoke to lots and lots of chefs in the UK and everyone had on the tip of their tongue, Thomas Keller, Thomas
thank
Keller.
you.
So it's great to be awarding you this award today. How do you feel nowadays? You must be given awards every other week, every month. How does it feel now? Is it still special for you to receive these type of awards?
I think any accolade that you receive is a special day. It recognizes the work that you're doing, and encourages you to do the work in the future, and even better. But we always have to remember, right, that we cannot rest on our laurels. Yes, I'm getting this beautiful award today. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful and honored and proud, to be receiving this award from a group of professionals in another country. That in of itself, makes me just giddy. But we also have to remember that all the awards that we receive are for what we did yesterday, right? And I appreciate that, and that's why it's so encouraging and reinforcing to the work that I'm doing and my team is doing. But we have to also consider, more importantly, what we're going to do tomorrow, and the responsibility. Every single award, establishes or defines another level of responsibility that you have. I don't care what award it is, right? This one here now, people are looking at me, after receiving this as a true leader. And I love that. I never, to be a leader is different than being a chef or even being a manager. I mean, it's a really extraordinary thing to have that burden and responsibility on your shoulder. And I accept that burden of responsibility wholeheartedly. And I want to make sure that whatever I do in the future is going to represent this award going forward.
And I think the key word that come out of everyone's chef was inspirational, which is
Thank you.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I am grateful to have the colleagues I have, and there are so many of us who are today, generationally, continuing to make an impact on our guests. Number one, but also we think about all of our farmers, our fishermen, our foragers, our gardeners. Without them, we would be nothing, right? And they don't. I always want to make sure that I'm bringing recognition to those individuals who are working every single day. I mean, a farmer doesn't stop, right? I mean, crops don't stop growing. Milk cows don't stop giving milk, right? Every single day they have to do this work. And I'm grateful for that, and want to make sure that we are taking what they do for us, right? Making it in some way for our guests and nurturing our guests through this nutritional food that they give us every day.
Thank you.
And I guess the next big question that everyone really wants to know the answer is, what's next for Thomas Keller?
It's a good question, and it's also I should say a good question. It's a fascinating question, right? And this has been asked of chefs for as long as I've been recognized as somebody who has been an influencer or been a leader. Like, well, what are you going to do next? And I've started to think about, like, well, what's wrong with what I already did? Right? Do I have to do something next? And so this level of expectations, right? And this is a very fairly new profession, right? In the UK and in America, and I so much appreciate the paths that both of our countries have been on. You think about 50 years ago when I started cooking, and you would ask somebody, what do you think about the British cuisine? And they go, well, it's like boiled beef, right? What do you think about American cuisine? Well, it's hot dogs and hamburgers and pizzas, right? In my lifetime, right, our two countries have elevated themselves to have the best chefs, the best restaurants, the best ingredients, right? The best service. Think about that, right? In 50 years, we have elevated ourselves to be able to compete, right, with anybody across the globe. And that is a pretty extraordinary thing. And so there's so many people that have been part of that process, and I'm grateful that this has happened. We were just talking recently, about the Michel and Albert Roux, right? They both passed away. But the significant impact that they had, or somebody like Marco Pierre White, the significant impact that he had. Think about somebody like Alice Waters. America is full of wonderful individuals who have influenced what we do in our profession. But not all of them, most of them have not come from the United States. And so my generation, right? My generation, we started to see American doing this kind of work, right? Embracing this challenge and this responsibility. And it's really a great thing. So, I'm sure there'll be something next. Is it opening another restaurant? I mean, that's kind of always what people are thinking. Well, I was going to open another restaurant. Will you open a restaurant in my city? Yeah, that's one way of thinking about what's doing next. But what does Thomas Keller really want to be able to do? And our foundation mentor is something that I'm committed to, and I want to continue to make sure that grows and influences the younger generations in a way that helps them, right, through whatever we can do for them, whether it's grant programs, whether it's pure mentorship, whether it's opportunities to make sure that they, again, are better than we are today.
We need to see more of Thomas Keller in London, Chef. That's what we need.
Thank you.
So now we're going to present the award to you.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand you over to Gareth Bowen. He's the chef down there at Cunard Cruises. To hand you over to this prestigious award from the Craft Guild of Chefs.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm grateful.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.
So, Chef, it's time to present you this prestigious award from the Craft Guild of Chefs. As I said, we've only presented it once before to Alan Ducasse. I'd like to hand you over to Gareth Bowen now, Senior Development Chef of Cunard.
Thank you. How are you?
Very good, Chef. Yourself?
Good. Wonderful. Yeah.
On behalf of the Craft Guild of Chefs and Cunard, I'd like to gift you the International Chef Award.
It's quite heavy, isn't it?
It is. Watch your toes. Thank you.
I got. Well, I'm certainly, and again, it's a very proud moment for me, and I'm certainly honored to be presented this beautiful award. It is a significant moment to be recognized by chefs in another country, and to be able to represent this award going forward. So I can guarantee all of you that the responsibility that I bear will represent what you've given me today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chef.
Congratulations, Chef.
Congratulations, Chef.
Thank you.